Good morning, everyone, and welcome to this year's High School Leadership Conference. My name is Henry Rondon, and I am Assistant Executive Director here at CAS-CIAC. Today, we'll bring you a program that hopefully leads you into giving your school community some ideas as to how to bring more leadership ideas into your school community, whether it be from other educators that we're bringing into our program, students, of course, like yourselves, who are leaders in their communities, who will bring you some ideas as to what you can do in your school community in order to enhance the experience of that community. So I welcome you today to open your mind, listen, and think about what ideas are being brought to you today. So I thank you for joining us today. And at this time, I would like to introduce our host, Mr. John Holt. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Rondon, and it's so nice to see everybody from across the state joining us, hundreds of students at various high schools across the state. We come to you from our offices, our Connecticut Association of School offices here in Cheshire. And it's virtual again this year. That's not our first choice, of course, but we have a great program planned for you. And one thing remains the same, whether it's virtual or in person, the caliber of student leader this event has attracted over the years, and CAS has been doing leadership events for 30 years. That caliber is very high. I remember seeing that firsthand the last time we were in person back at Central Connecticut State, pre-pandemic, if some of you may remember. That was just before Thanksgiving in 2019. And one of the students who made a lasting impression on me that day was then Woodland Regional sophomore Emily Laput. I was especially impressed with Emily's commitment and focus in her student work on student mental health, which of course has become an even more pronounced need and concern and pressing concern during the pandemic. Mental health is something you will hear a lot about today, and for good reason, from our presenters, Mr. Kendrick Moore and Mrs. Kalinda Hunter. So you'll want to pay attention to that message. What's also a centerpiece, and this is an exciting part of the conference, a centerpiece, even with the virtual conference, what is a centerpiece is the student voice. You will hear from Emily and these 10 other students. It is a good-looking group, is it not? A diverse group of students from across Connecticut, each with their own important perspective about student leadership. We're so glad to have them with us today to speak to you and engage with you. Now, the adults you'll hear from today, we, of course, were all high school students at one point. You just heard from Mr. Rondon. We want to have a little fun throughout the conference. Let's take a look at some photos from the high school days. This was Mr. Rondon, who does a lot of work with our athletes here at CIAC too. Back in his high school days at Cardinal Hayes High School in the Bronx, New York, baseball player. He seems to have a pretty good memory of that day. I believe he had a home run on the pitch that was next, but you see him then, you see him now, and that picture on the left remains in his office. So his high school memories are important to him. And I hope you're having the same sort of experiences despite a very unusual circumstance with the pandemic. Next photo, and apologies. Well, apologies for the haircut. Yeah, this is 1989, 1990. The mullet and all that hair up top. I miss that sort of thick hair, and the mullet's a little unfortunate. But I tell you, that at the time was hip. So we'll be sharing some photos throughout the conference as we go, and we'll have some trivia too. A chance for you with some celebrities. Who is this in high school? Here's what they look like today, and you can answer that in the chat. We also encourage you to engage in the chat and tag us as you go throughout the day. If you can take some photos. If you want to tag our CIAC Sports account, that's at CIAC Sports on Facebook and Twitter. Our Connecticut Association of Schools Twitter account at CAS_CT, at CAS_CT on Twitter, and at ct.association.of.schools on Facebook. So that's at ct.association.of.schools on Facebook. So I'll repeat those later. Sort of hard to put to memory, but we want to, if you have a photo gathered with your classmates and fellow leaders at school, we want to see what you're doing, and we look forward to sharing potentially some of your comments, but at least reading them and sharing them on social media. Some basic tips for the webinar. You probably know this by now, but something like this is really best viewed in speaker mode. So up in the right-hand corner, put it in speaker rather than gallery, and down on the bottom where the microphone is, you can adjust where you're hearing your audio from, with speakers or a soundboard, so you get the best experience today. Now, before we get going, I want to thank our Connecticut Association of School partners. Their sponsorship really helped to make days like this possible, and they continue to be loyal partners over the years. The Connecticut Army National Guard, the Connecticut Department of Health, the Connecticut Department of Transportation, Buffalo Wild Wings, Jostens, Horace Mann, Spring Path, and the College Funding Coach. Okay, time now for our keynote address to get things going with Mr. Kendrick Moore. This is a man with a message. I've had a chance to get to know him over the last couple of years. I knew about his reputation as an athlete and a leader before that, but to get to know him personally, he really is an exceptional person. Back in the day, yeah, this is Mr. Moore in high school at Hartford Public, a Hartford Public Owl. He was a big basketball star at the pub. Hey, you can't rock the pub, as they say, right? A two-time state champ, a Gatorade State Player of the Year, and in the top 5% of his class academically. Now, he went on to play college basketball at Division I level at both Missouri and Providence. So an accomplished basketball player. But he'll probably tell you that the work he's done in schools and in his community since then is something he's even more proud of. He is a leader in personal development who truly lives by the title of coach, and that's such a powerful title. Please welcome Mr. Kendrick Moore.
Thank you. Thank you for that wonderful message. I'm going to start right off and get this screen share to pop up. I'm really going to go right into the first part of the presentation as we talk about preparing for promotion. I think it's one of the most powerful things that we can look forward to today in many different lights. So we want to listen up here. A part of our presentation, which you'll hear right now, has to do with one of my former players. I actually, with playing basketball, I went on to coaching as well at the University of Wisconsin-Milwaukee, which was one of my stops. And I got a quick little, if I can get it to play here, quick little testimonial from one of our players. So I'm just going to play that right now.
To the next generation myself. He helped teach me toughness, grit, dedication, determination, and the laser focus it takes to achieve greatness in all parts of life. And to this day, 17, 18 years later, we still communicate regularly where he acts as a mentor and a life coach to me, except without the paycheck.
All right, I'm actually going to give you guys a chance to play that one more time, just so it can start from the beginning.
During our time together, Coach Moore instilled fundamental and core values in me through basketball that I can point to as a direct correlation to my success during and post my basketball career. Core values that transferred to my adulthood as a husband, father, friend, and now a mentor to the next generation myself. He helped teach me toughness, grit, dedication, determination, and the laser focus it takes to achieve greatness in all parts of life. And to this day, 17, 18 years later, we still communicate regularly where he acts as a mentor and a life coach to me, except without the paycheck.
John, can we see this, the screen share as well?
Everything's good, Kendrick. We heard that and we see it, so you are golden.
All right, perfect. And that's what I want. If we got a chance to listen to that message and actually read some of the words on the screen, which we'll follow up on, it's about the impact, right? A lasting impact. And that's what I expect here today, right? With these messages. I'll go back to John. John, I want to thank you, Sharice, Henry, and everyone for inviting me on this platform here once again. What a wonderful opportunity to be able to present to our young people, hey, and adults that are a part of this conference. Because with me, this message doesn't only ring to the youth, right? It's about the adults as well. So I'm really happy that you chose this platform of learning today for the 2.5 hours that you guys will be here. I really, really appreciate it. I hope you guys are excited about learning. Anytime you enter a space, right? I'm big on being a student, right? Having the opportunity to learn is one of the greatest gifts that we've been given, right? So I really hope we focus on that as we enter this space here today. I know you guys are maybe missing class time and missing work, but I'm hoping that that's not your emphasis today. The emphasis is about getting better, right? So I want to make sure that we embrace this opportunity that we are all afforded here today. So preparing for promotion, guys, you know, it's a title that just popped up in my head as I was talking to Sharice in terms of this conference. What that's about, guys, is taking it to the next level, right? In any given day, what we want to do is get better. So that's one of those themes of the day, getting better consistently. All right, so taking it to the next level. How do I move from being an average student to a much better student? How do I go from being an average parent to a great parent? Right? What sacrifices and the disciplines that it takes? So that's what really preparing for promotion is about, right? Simply understanding how to get from one level to the next. So I've been fortunate again to speak on this platform and different platforms across the state. And a big focus of mine lately has really been on personal development. Like that's key. I think when we lock into personal development and really what that looks like, I think we give ourselves a better chance of succeeding at anything that we do, right? So that's one of my biggest focuses is personal development. And I think it's really key in the days and times that we're in right now. With the social skills are lacking, you know, I have the opportunity, I'm blessed with the opportunity to be able to work in the school system. So I work with our young people every day. You know, I see the social distances that have come into play with the environment that we live in right now. So that I'm big on the personal development with the growth and development of our youth. And again, I always tell them, like with my leadership kids, with the different programs that I run, et cetera, from the life coaching, it's about being like, come into those spaces, willing to give me everything you got. Because at the end of the day, I'm gonna give you the best that I got, right? So that's going to be key here for this presentation here today. So I hope you guys once again are excited about that, being a student and learning. Because what I want to do, guys, I want to take another look at the message that was delivered. Joe Tucker, man, the kid is a beautiful kid. He's an adult now, as he mentioned in there. But I just want to take a look at some of the things, some of the keys that I want to make sure that we focus on even here today. Fundamental and core values. Like these are some of the things, and we'll get to it at the end of his message. but these are some of the things that I want to be lasting from this message. Like, I'm going to talk about 3 different areas, and I'll get to that in a second. But they're areas that when we lock into them, guys, they could take us wherever we want to go. Core values. You know, sometimes we talk about certain things in a certain way. So as he mentioned, I was his basketball coach. I was an assistant coach for him. But how those core values transferred to his adulthood. And so he still takes those lessons in as a husband, as a father, as a friend. And now he's working with young people in this community back home in Milwaukee. The laser focus it takes, right, to achieve greatness in all parts of life. So this is what I say, when you come in here, really be a student, like lock into the message for the time that we have, the 2.5 hours, and really be a student. Lock in, laser focus. And again, we're talking about 17 to 18 years later, he's able to recall some of the things that were instilled in him back then on the basketball court. But though he said, as I served as an adult mentor to him as well, that has had a lasting effect on his success up until today, right? So we want to make sure that, listen, this is how important it is to me. Like, because I'm here, I'm going to give you what I got. And I guarantee you, if you lock into these messages, that you'll see some ultimate success coming up for yourselves, right? So here's the deal. We got 3 areas of focus that we'll be working on today. The first one is time and value. The second is goal setting. The third will be neglect. Again, 3 areas that I guarantee you that if you lock into these messages, you're due for some long-term success. Like I guarantee you that, right? It's not a question about if or when or how. I guarantee you, if you lock into these 3 concepts, like, and you're willing to make the commitment to them, you will see long-term success, right? So the first one, right? Time and value. Like, here's the deal, guys. We're going to spend our time doing something. Like, and one of the things I love doing when I get up in the morning, go work out, I try to hit the gym early before work, is really focusing and locking in on positive messages every morning. One of the guys I listen to right now, you know, Jim Rohn, I've been listening to him for a little bit. One of the things he's committed to, and one of his biggest projects, is really not spending major time on minor things. Because here's the deal, to me, how you spend your time is a direct reflection of the value that you put on yourselves, right? That's just how I feel about it. How you spend your time is a direct reflection of the value you put on your day-to-day being, right? You can't tell me that you have these big plans of being successful and things that require sacrifice, but you're not really spending time and locking in on the things that can get you there, right? So the majority of us, and listen, even on this call, as I mentioned, this is not just about the students. I want the adults to make sure they lock into these messages as well, because they understand it to be the same as truth. Locking in, spending time on the right things. It's a difficult task, right? Because we're in a world where the majority of people study distractions, right? We got a PhD in distractions. Like, that's just the nature of what our environment today, right? So we spend a lot of time on things that don't matter, and we keep having these recurring conversations with ourselves about what we want and what we want to do, but we never spend our time on the right things, right? So remember, we're talking about getting better. So this is, listen, having direct conversations with you is what you should want, right? We're talking about getting better, right? If you want to take it personal, do that, but do it in a sense of like, listen, I got to lock in and get better from these messages, because that's what we're here for. You know, no sugarcoating, no reshaping anything. Like, this is what it is. Because what we do know, one of the hardest things to do is deal with ourselves, right? One of the hardest things to do is deal with ourselves. But at the end of the day, and I'm going to revisit this a little bit later too, right? The price of discipline or regret. Like, which one are you paying now based on your time and value, you know, and how much will it cost you in a year? Like, that's what it is. Like, it's just as simple as that. Like I said, we want to revisit that. Oh, and just to note, guys, I apologize because I wanted to mention this as well. During the course of this keynote right now, I would love for our students, adults, to be able to write down questions, right? Be able to journal certain things. So at each of the headings, which will be coming up for time and value, I want to be able to field a question. So if you can send a question in the chat, anything that we can discuss, again, real briefly, but I want to be able to, have a strong engagement with you guys. Again, I know it's over Zoom, but even with your mics off, I want to make sure I'm feeling those positive vibrations. You letting me know that you're engaged in this by writing it down and be able to give me some feedback and ask questions. Like, again, right now throughout the conversation. All right, so I apologize for not mentioning that early. But that's where we are, guys, with time and value. Because here's the deal. If you want to do this, just think about this. I want each one of you to think about this. Who is where you want to be right now? So for our students, all we say that we want, right, out of being a young person, a student, an athlete, like, who are the people that are where we want to be? And it's only based on the fact that, they use their 24 hours in a different way than I did. For the adults on the call, like, what adults are living a healthier life, have attained a certain job position based on valuing the 24 hours they have while you sat there and didn't make the necessary sacrifice? Like, that's a hard thing to deal with, right? Being able to deal with myself and say, man, that is actually the reason why I'm not blaming anybody else, but that's the reason why I'm not where I'm supposed to be. Because I didn't value my 24 hours like I should have. Right? I want you to make sure that we lock into that message and make sure we understand that, right? So like that's a huge part of that. And like I said, if that's one of the questions I follow up, that'll be beautiful. But man, just take the time to think, because I guarantee you, for myself as well, like when I'm talking to you, I'm talking to myself as well. I got to keep myself motivated because I know there's more to me. I know there's a lot more that I can give. Right? And I got to make sure I keep giving myself reminders to make sure I handle those 24 hours the best way that I can. All right. So that's a big part of it, right? Again, it's about getting better, right? That's what preparing for promotion is about. We're about to prepare right now to get better in the long run, right? So let's make sure we lock into each and every one of these messages as we're moving forward. With the time and value, guys, are there any questions in regards to that? Did anyone throw anything in the chat, John, that you can see?
Nothing yet, but we do encourage that if you students have a question, the webinar joining us, so please throw that in for Mr. Moore. He'll be taking some questions and feedback from you as we go. So if you have some early feedback, please include it in the chat and I can relay that to him as we see it.
All right. All right, so no problem. Like I said, if we get to another question on that one with the time and value, by the time we finish up the goal setting, I'll try to lock in and take a couple of those questions at the end of this next segment. But again, I wish we could spend more time on each one of these segments. I know time is limited, but I just want to hit you with some powerful pieces that, like, again, if you got something to write, jot it down, journal it. Like, make it real. Take something from this, because I guarantee you I got something for everybody on this platform right now, something that they can take with them. All right. So here's the deal. This is what I want you to do. Again, if you don't have anything to write it down, I just want you to take a second to think of these two things. We won't ask a question about them, but I want you to think about these two things. So as it pertains to preparing for promotion, think about it. Like, two things that you do each day that are most valuable to you reaching your goals. Like, what are two of the things that you do each day that are most valuable to you reaching your goals? On the flip
Mr.
side,
Moore, we do have some questions if you want me to throw some at you here.
Okay, yeah, definitely. You can give me one right now.
I didn't mean to interrupt, but they're starting to come in here. Joe in West Haven, any tips on staying motivated after you fail? Because sometimes when you're trying to value this time, you're going to fall short. How do you respond to failure or falling short?
Well, here's the deal. You got to start with the root of it, right? Like, there's so many people. So what, to me, like, what is failure? Like, so to each one of us, failure looks a little bit different. Like falling short in the basketball game doesn't mean failure. You know, I don't even like to talk, John, is crazy. I don't even like to talk about it till up until today. I never even watched a game. Like 3 years ago when I was coaching at Windsor High School, our girls lost in the semifinals, right? We had aspirations of winning a championship. You know, do we look at that season as a failure? Or can I backtrack on looking at, man, we took a team that was 4-16 before I got there. In 3 years, we finished 24-3. We made it to the state semifinals. And not only that, and I'm glad he asked that question, because a big part of that is what you become in the process. Like, these girls gained a sense of confidence, discipline, work ethic. I get each one of these girls are in college. 2 of them are in college playing basketball right now, something that they only dreamt about. You know, one of them's a Division I player at UMass Lowell right now. She started every game since she's been there from a freshman year, right? All conference, all defense last year, doing nursing school at the same time. I got another young lady who at the beginning of the process told me her sophomore year is when I met her. I can't make a 3-point. What do you mean you can't? I can't shoot. I can't shoot. By her 3rd year, she was the best shooter on our team. I'm talking about the process, what you become during that. So I don't know who told you what failure looks like, and it's not a knock on you, but there's so many rewards along the way that you got to make sure you pay attention to. The problem.
Great comment. Troy says failure to him means there's just another way to get the goal done. It's a learning process, right?
You already know. Like, how does that, like, who told you what that defined failure to you to where you're locked into that as that's what it is? Who told you that? You know,
let me give, I don't mean to keep interrupting, I promise. So one more question, but I want to take away your momentum. It's a good one too, because we're in the winter season. What do you recommend? Jeff wonders, what do you recommend student and adults do to make the most of their time, say on a weekend, or you get dealt a snow day? Is it all of a sudden just an off day in someone's mind, or do you maximize that day at home or remotely or whatever you're going to be up to?
Again, we just living in different times. I don't even know snow day. I'm from the era where we're trucking through this, 6-8 inches of snow to get to school. Like, today is just like, nah, school's out. I don't know what a snow day looks like. I don't know what not staying on the grind looks like. So it's all about the commitment and what you want to get out of what you say you want. This is what going right back into what we were just talking. How are you using your 24 hours? Like, don't tell me you want to be a Division I athlete. It's snowing outside. Okay, you can't make it to the gym, but are you studying? Are you studying the game? Like, are you locked into watching 3 games a day? Like, literally, this is what I do every day. I'll have 2 computers on, a TV on, a phone on, and I'm watching 4 games at one time just to get better at coaching, because one of the things I do is train. So I got to make sure I'm ready to deliver that message to my kids each and every time I see them. Like, so if you got to just make the commitment to getting better, right? The environment, again, is going to create these excuses for us. Right. And I love the motivations that I give, because it falls right in line with this. Like I said, I don't want to, I know we are on a time crunch, but I said, if, the word if, like, is the greatest alibi. So what you going to say? If it wasn't snowing, if it wasn't cold outside, if my TV was working, if I had ESPN, if I could get to, everybody's making these excuses of why they're not successful. Figure it out. Here's the deal. If you want to contact me personally, my information is going to be on some of these different pages. Like, we can talk and get it on. Like, I'm serious about your development. I'm committed to you. I don't come on listen, I'm not going to just do anything just for showing up, paycheck, whatever. If I'm not really committed to the message, that's just not about me. I'm committed to everybody on this page, especially our youth. Like that's just what I do every day. Like I'm committed to all of the youth on this page. You want to test me? Try me. All right. Like I said, I just want to make sure we get through each heading. Man, I appreciate the questions. Keep them coming. After that next portion, I definitely want to handle some more. But again, I want you to list 2 things that you do every day, or just think about it, that are most hindering to you reaching your goals. Right? Think about it, right? And again, guys, I know it's hard to deal with ourselves. So when it comes to that, like, you gotta be honest with yourself. Like, what are some of those things that are hindering you from reaching your goals? All right. And again, that's the perfect transition, right? So we talked about time and value. The next, we're transitioning right into goal setting. Like that's something that should be a part of your daily being. To me, you shouldn't start your day until you have it finished. I'm sure some of us might not understand what I'm saying as it pertains to that, but sit down, if you wake up at 6 a.m. in the morning, try to get yourself up at 5:30 and just plan out your day. Before you go to bed, plan out your next day. Like, see how good you can get with planning out your day. Like, set some goals throughout the day. Do not just go into the world, because when you do that, something else will take charge of each and every moment of your day if you don't have it planned. Just something as simple as, I'm sure the adults, when they go check their emails, they're probably thinking about emailing somebody. Once they get to the email list, it's 17 emails on there. It might not sound like much, but half of the emails are junk, but you got the willingness to kind of check them just to see what they're about. Now you took away from delivering a powerful message that you wanted to send yourself. Like, you got to really sit down and plan things out and how you want it to look. Right? Entering your day at school, like, you got to make sure that you plan it out. I know some of you might be pretty good students, but I guarantee you goal set and you game plan, which go hand in hand, your days could be a lot more productive. That's just the fact. That's just the fact of the matter. Because here's the deal. This is just the truth and the honesty of the matter. We're talking about getting better. If you're not good at goal setting, you will waste a lot of time. There are too many time wasters out there. If you're not great at goal setting, you will waste a lot of time. All right, hold on 1 second, guys. Having a little technical stuff here. Let me make sure this is, I apologize. Get this back up. All right. All right, are we good?
Yeah, we're good.
You hear me, John? Okay, perfect. I apologize for that. Yes, we will waste a lot of time. And one of the things I do, like, one of the ventures that I've taken on is being a life coach as well. Like, a part of me has always done the mentoring thing, but I got into being a life coach, and really, well, like I said, big on the personal development piece and growing and in that area. But man, that's what we talk about. Like, that's the game changer as it pertains to, like, that life coaching and coaching young people. It's really the goal setting piece, like what that really looks like, right? And here's a one of the comments from one of the people that I do this with. Goal setting during my life coaching sessions provided me with vision and a detailed roadmap of how to attain. I was like, at first I just said, okay, ask for a quote. Okay, that's fine. But when I look back at it, that word vision, I was like, man, like, it actually gave them the ability to see and the ability to go at what they wanted with a clearer path. Right? Like, so like I said, at first I was just thinking, okay, life coaching provided them with vision. But when I really, like, vision, like, if you don't have vision, you can't see. Like, it's harder for you to get around. But with that map, with that goal setting, like, it provided them with that. Like, what I want to do every day. What is it that I want to accomplish? How do I get myself to a greater place? What's the preparation part to the promotion part? Like, how do I get there? And that's what was provided just with the goal setting. You know, and again, it's a lot of structure that's involved in this, right? But me, I'm big on structure. Like that's just a part of me anyway. Like structure is just kind of who I am. So it's nothing just out of the order where I feel like uncomfortable with structure, right? That's just kind of been a part of how my life has been anyway, right? But so it's easy for me, but really building it into other people's lives, I love that challenge. Trust me, I love that challenge each and every day. But just because I really know the importance of it, you know, it's really important to me, and really understanding where that can take you. It made me like really more interested in it and watching people grow, right? Because that's what I'm about. But again, guys, like with goal setting, I don't want us to get confused. I know I'm asking you to jot things down, and some people also just see goal setting as like putting things on a calendar. So what I'm saying, guys, is it's not like a calendar and planning like that. No, that's not what it is. Like the goal setting is more robust. Like it's more filled out. It's more detailed. Like it's about the action. It's not just putting something down, right? It's about, there should be multiple action steps when we talk about goal setting, because again, it's about how to get there. Like, how do I actually get to where I want? I walk the people through, like, listen, this is what we got to do. I follow up. I challenge the people, like, this is what we're going to do, and this is how we're going to get it done. So remember, the goal setting, guys, it's more robust, and it goes along with the game planning in order to attain our success. You know, as John mentioned, I had a beautiful opportunity to play college basketball. And when I think about it, what we used to do every day just for one game, like to get ready for our first game, what that summer looked like, what that fall looked like, 10, 12-hour days, 13, 14-hour days, if you would just include like, trying to get to bed after you got back home, late nights, trying to, from study halls, etc., training tables. Listen, that schedule is brutal, right? Just to prepare for one game. And mentioning and going back to the comment that was made before with the question, and the success wasn't guaranteed. But again, it was what we became in the process. I know that going through all those processes at the different universities, at University of Missouri, Providence College, trying to earn an MBA, going through that whole, dealing with the natural environment. You talk about disappointments. I had a goal of, trying to get to the MBA. Like that was an aspect. I didn't make it. I didn't see myself as a failure. I said, man, look at what I've become in the process. Right? So making sure I understood that along the way was very, very important. Understanding what that really looked like. So again, this is one of the most powerful things I heard too, because a lot of people talk about what they want, but they not willing to put in the grind and put in the work to go get it. Right? So I'm having a conference with my leadership students a while back. One of the things, listen, change yourself or change your wants. It's just that simple. Like, stop fooling around. Like I said, we're talking about getting better now, right? So we got to be direct with each other. I got to be direct with you, and I want you to accept it direct. Everything might not pertain to you, but if it's hitting you in your chest, like, oh man, no, it's probably talking to you. Like if you're already on the defense, like I'm probably talking to you. Like, here's the deal. You know what you're willing to do to go get it. And if you need a detailed roadmap of how to get there, I can help you with that before you even start your journey. That's what the goal setting is about. But if you're not willing to change yourself, just change what you want. Because a lot of you say you want something, you're not headed there right now. I'll tell you how to get there. You'll say you still want it, but you're not willing to put in the work. Right? So a lot of it is going to be change, dealing with ourselves, changing ourselves or changing our wants. Like that's just what it is. Like there's no other way around it. Right? Are there any other questions from like I said, that goal setting part, guys? Like I would love to hear from you. Like if anybody put anything in the chat, John?
Mr. Moore, we do have a few. I know we're running up against time and you still have another important pillar to talk about. We want to get to that. Let me ask you one question about balance, a question from a combination of questions from a Hale Ray High School and Fitch High School. When you set these goals, and they're typically going to be pretty high for students like this, how do you balance it? I mean, if your athletic goals falling short, is your classwork going to suffer? How do you balance both? Do you risk setting the goals too high?
This is just me, and I love this young lady. John, I went into work today. I got a lot going on personally, right? So, but I go into work every day to see the students before they're in the midterms, before they go take their midterms. It's just one young lady, she's ridiculous. She created the website for me. Like when you get a chance, hopefully you get a chance to go. Listen, so when we talk about time and value, I wonder, how does this young lady, so when she comes to class, I tell her, look, guys, when you come to class, the valedictorian sits in the front, not in the back. Like, we don't want the distractions, we sit in the front. This young lady is headed towards valedictorian. The crazy part about it is she just sent me a message, headed towards valedictorian, taking 4 AP classes. She went to the internship this past summer, so she's doing the internship now. She has she's working on the stuff. She's my intern working with the stuff that I do right now. Like, so you're talking about figuring out how to balance your time. You just make sure you're willing to prioritize your time. You have enough time to get it done. Right? So we told her the other day, like, listen, you want to go to UPenn? Start following UPenn. She don't fool around on the Instagram and all of that. Follow UPenn. That's what you want. Go follow them. Stop following these people that don't matter. That on the Instagram. Follow UPenn. There's enough time in the day to be successful at everything you want. Trust me. And I guarantee you, if you start just eliminating the distractions, you'll find your way along that path a little bit easier. And here's the deal. It's not saying it's not going to be hard. But if you make the commitment to the successes that you say you want, I guarantee you can accomplish it. All right. So John, I'll just hop on to that last section really quick. I know we're against time, but I definitely appreciate that question. The last section, guys, is neglect, right? And when we neglect, what we're talking about now is neglecting your dreams. Because here's the deal, neglect, what it kind of looks like to me when I'm talking about, like, man, I love talking about that topic. Like, so when I'm in care of something, when it's something that, that's here right in front of me, I'm in care of it, I'm in charge of it, like, right? And I'm not doing the necessary things to nurture it. So because of that, I'm actually harming my opportunities. I'm actually harming that particular thing that I say I want, right? So that's what I'm talking about when I say neglect, like neglecting your dreams. And one of the hardest part about it, for people to kind of understand is, it usually involves something that's kind of simple that you don't think can have that much of an effect. I'm talking about in terms of your dreams right now, right? So you're like, man, like, that's kind of simple. Like, yeah, that's not going to matter. So if I tell you, hey, wake up a half hour earlier and start doing a certain thing, like, that's not going to matter. Oh, go get up 100 extra shots. Like, that's not going to matter. In the morning, you kind of thinking, hey, let's listen to some positive affirmations or something. You know what? That's really not gonna matter. Like, hey, maybe one day, if you just didn't do something on one day that I'm asking you to do, because remember, we got the formulas here of how to get better. So one day, that's not gonna matter. You're right. You don't do something for one day if that's all it took, fine. But what happened if I'm asking you to do these things for the course of a week? The course of a month, so if I'm telling you get up a half hour earlier for a week, at the end of the week, that's 3.5 hours. Man, what can I do with 3.5 hours? I could do a lot. Over 15 hours in like 15 hours, like in a month, like I could do a lot with that. I could do a lot with that. So when we look at it from the small standpoint, oh man, one day, half hour, that's not much. Man, at the end of a month, if I have 15 extra hours to study, I might have an opportunity to get everything done. Oh, 15 extra hours, man, I could go get shots up. I got 15, no, I said extra hours, not like the part of the schedule that you already use. I said 15 extra hours. Oh, I could get a lot done. And here's the deal. This is the crazy part about it, because going back to what I said at the beginning, the people that are where you want to be, that's what they're doing. The people that are where you want to be right now, they're utilizing those 15 extra hours a month. That's what you're seeing. You're seeing them not neglecting their time. That's all you're seeing. That's what you're seeing. That's what you're seeing up close and personal. You think it's something else. You think it's just, oh man, they're more talented than me. Then all of a sudden you can't beat them in a game. And guess what? Now I think I failed at it. No, it's because you didn't use that 15 extra hours. You know, that 45 extra hours over the summer that you got. Right? So that's kind of how neglect looks. And sometimes like we just kind of overlook some of those simple things, but I'm big on it. I preach it to, you know, the adults. I preach it to the kids. Like I try to preach it to myself to make sure I'm trying to maximize my time. I'm comfortable in saying that I've become a lot better at it, right? Making sure I work on those things. But man, it's something that I really had to lock in on. And here's one of the more motivations. As I mentioned, I send these out every week. This was from a few weeks ago. Your future self will thank you for not neglecting to do the simple things today. Listen, man, it's something special about being able to design your own life. Something special about that. I know if you don't take control over and design it, something else will. All right, so as we look at the time and value, goal setting, and neglect, guys, let's make sure we lock in on those three things. Okay, John, are there any more questions before we hand it off? Or is time?
No, well, let me get in one more question. We'll have you back for your closing session. You could probably take a few more after the panel, but Melanie asks, how do you stay so focused with all that life throws at you? And she's talking about pandemic, work. So this is an overall question for you. This has been hard on students for the last couple of years, as you know.
Yes, no, listen, it's very difficult. One of the things like I said, I speak for students. You know, I love to advocate for students. I get a chance to work with students every day, so I get a lot of feedback from them to get better at what I'm, you know, trying to challenge them to do or work on getting them better. Making sure you kind of stay in positive spaces. Communication is key. I see a lot of kids, they have the social anxieties and different things going on as they entered school. Like, hey, our sophomores even at school, they missed a whole year of really being in high school last year. So now you got 2 grades that's kind of going through those same introductory processes coming through this year. So I understand what you're saying with that. It's not an easy thing. I think the key is making sure also you surround yourself with some positive people and communication. I know it's a tough thing, and we're probably going to dive into that a little bit next with the conversation, but the key is communication. Like being able to open up, one of the terms I use in basketball, communicate early and often. I always say that to our early and often, like early and often. Early and often. Like try to open up and come out of your shell. I get it. Listen, I'm the same way. Right? I got to gain my confidence from family to make sure I'm able to even come on these conference calls, or else I'm more of an introvert. I'm quiet. I don't want to tell anybody about my issues and what's going on. Early and often. Right? Just giving you the best chance at having success during that day. And then I'm sure you got the support systems around that can probably help you navigate through some of the things. Right? Here's a question I just want to leave you guys with. How hard do you work to be a part of positive opportunities? Right? So make sure you lock into that message as we move into that next section, guys. I appreciate your time. I appreciate everyone. Man, it's a beautiful opportunity. John, again, Henry, Sharice, who's not, on the call. I think she might be on the call. But again, I appreciate you guys, and I'm looking forward to coming back later on in the day with our wonderful students for that panel discussion.
Absolutely. Thank you, Mr. Moore. Early and often. We're doing this early here on a Friday, and you are offering some great advice often throughout your comments. So thank you. And we'll hear from you later. And if students, if you want to throw something in the chat, That'll happen at the end of the conference in regards to the value of time, goal setting, and neglect. Mr. Moore will be back to speak about that. All right, as I mentioned earlier, we're going to have a chance for a little trivia for you to identify some famous people when they were in high school. That's going to be coming up after we take a break, and there's a chance to win some really, really sought after CAS-CIAC apparel. We'll get the name of the winner in the chat and send you some apparel based on who answers it first. We'll show you a high school photo of a celebrity. We're going to have you guess in the chat, who are they? Who are we looking at from high school? Your age, back when they were your age. But to get you ready for that, our first break of the day, a 5-minute break with some trivia. So enjoy this. We'll see you in 5 minutes. We hope you had some fun with that. We apologize for some of the technical glitches there with that black bar blocking some of the answers, but we appreciate the responses we saw in the chat. Welcome back. We want to keep that sort of trivia theme going. And this is a chance for, as I mentioned before the break and the countdown, a chance for you to win some CAS-CIAC apparel. It's all the rage. Sort of, we like to think so. So we're going to keep an eye on the chat for the first person to get the correct answer, and we'll get your contact information from your school to send you that more details to follow. But you remember that high school theme, then and now. Want to start with this one. Dug up this photo. Who can tell me who this is? Freshman year in high school. Keeping an eye on the chat here to see if we get the correct answers. And give you a hint. And we got it. I guess that was it. Can you imagine that haircut? That's at a high school in California. And the answer is yes, Tom Brady, the 7-time Super Bowl champ. Looks like maybe the right answer might have come out of, if you don't count the people on our student panel, might have come out of Lime, Old Lime. I see Hildy Heck, the athletic director, watching with the kids in Old Lime. So if there was a student, Hildy, that blurted that out first, Tom Brady, that's our winner to get that CAS-CIAC apparel. And of course, Brady back in the playoffs this weekend, playing at home against the Rams, looking to get to the NFC Championship. Oh, our next one. Who is this in high school? Keeping an eye on the chat, see if you have any thoughts. And wow, pretty good. Allison Borowski running that account. You got it. Beyonce is the answer. Just looked it up before we came back. 28, just a pop sensation, music sensation, 28 Grammys, 79 nominations. What an incredible artist. And that is her birth name. It sounds like a stage name, just such a memorable, special name, but Beyonce. So we will make a note of those two winners. We'll have one more of these coming up later. And with your chance again to win this grand prize, CAS-CIAC apparel. Well, it's time to get an update from student leaders, hear their voices from the Connecticut Association of Student Councils and the Connecticut Association of National Honor Societies. Starting first with the Connecticut Association of Student Councils, Emily, Julia, and Jeff, take it away.
Good morning, everyone. I'm just going to share my screen real quick. So hopefully everyone can see this. So we're going to talk a little bit about CASC. So I'm Julia Paprici. I am the CASC Secretary Treasurer. I'm from Thompson High School, and I'm also the president of the Thompson High School Student Council.
I'm Jeff Rosborg, by the way. I'm the Student Workshop Coordinator for CASC, and I'm a junior at Conard High School in West Hartford, and I'm also the Vice President of Conard High School.
So we're just going to have a little starter question. You guys can put this one in the chat. What's your zodiac sign? So I'm going to pass it on to Jeff to talk about who we are.
Great. So in the meantime, I'm going to explain what CASC is. So CASC is a state student council organization that connects student leaders from around the state. And we have a mission statement, which is through embracing CT Rises, which is an acronym I will later explain. It's that the Connecticut Association of Student Council aims to foster collaboration and innovation among student leaders and advisors, provide student council governments with important resources that transcend the classroom, and focus on essential skills for leadership that positively impact communities. Now, to elaborate a little bit on CT Rises. So CT Rises offers a comprehensive guide to planning a well-rounded student council program. And here are what each letter stands for. So CT stands for citizenship, projects that promote student voice in the school and community. R for recognition, projects that recognize students and staff. I for inspiration, projects that teach and promote student leadership. S for service, projects that serve the needs of the school and or community. E for engagement, projects that teach students and make the school a better place. And the second S and the last one, S for spirit, projects that improve school climate. Back to you, Julia.
All right, so what do we do? So we have a couple events that we do during the school year. Our first event that kicks off the year is the Welcome Back President Symposium. So all presidents of student councils across Connecticut are invited to this symposium. In previous years, we've had a little lunch aspect to it. So you would make something to eat and we would all share it together, and that would be kind of a little breakout for us. So we basically get together with all the presidents and we start off the school year getting bouncing off new ideas off of each other. Our next is the fall district student conferences. The Western District, which I'm a part of, we actually just had ours and it was very successful. And this is virtual as of right now, but it's student leadership training and we learn from our different communities and our different schools in our districts. The next is the Spring Student State Convention. This is one of the biggest events for us. This is going to be held in March. We're going to have ours virtual. And basically, this is where we elect our new executive board and we bounce off ideas from each other. This is the biggest one. So almost every school in Connecticut is here and it's very fun to, be a part of. Our next one, which we haven't been able to do because of COVID, is Adventures in Leadership. We get together at a Farmington Ropes course and we bring together all of these leaders and learn to trust each other and, again, get these ideas from each other that we might not get from our own student councils. And then our final event that we usually do is our summer leadership workshop, CAS Academy. So we'll have everyone meet, presidents meet, vice presidents meet, and so on. And they are basically just learning how to be better prepared for their school year and how to work with their committees. So next, I wanted to talk about our state service project, Caring for Connecticut. I'm very excited about this. We have 3 things to this Caring for Connecticut initiative. Our first one, our biggest one, is the Blankets for Babies. This is our year-long initiative. Our goal is to make about 3,000 blankets for local hospitals of your choice, and we hope to surpass this. So we will be using fleece blankets, 30 by 30 inches in fabric. Basically, you're taking scissors to the end and cutting fringes and then tying them together to make these very easy to make blankets. And then we have 2-month projects. Our first is friendship bracelets in April. And basically, it's in the name. We're just making friendship bracelets to give out to children in Connecticut hospitals. And then appreciation cards in January. These are for healthcare workers to help them out during the COVID times. So there's a pledge form. I will send out the link to that at the end of the presentation. I'm just going to move it on to Jeff.
Great. Now I'll top this off with like a fun energizer, because I know we are CIAC. We have some kind of sport related or athletic related questions for a would you rather like activity. And I just want to say thank you for putting your answers to the zodiac signs. And also just to plug ourselves out there, you can follow CT Suco on Instagram to get the latest updates from CAS CT Student Council. So anyways, these would you rather questions. So let's start off. Would you rather eat only pasta or pizza for the rest of your life? I'll give you guys some time to answer this. Pizza, pasta. I'm going to be narrating over this, by the way. So pasta, it's either the good carbohydrates or the not so good carbohydrates, but the better tasting carbs, Pasta, cheese. Cheese is the real winner, I say there. Let's go on to the second one. Meet your favorite athlete or celebrity. Would you rather? Celebrity. Athlete, pasta. Great. So C, live in a mansion. Would you rather live in a mansion but never listen to music again, or live in a cabin and have unlimited access to free music? Cabin. Everybody has a cabin mood, of course. D, would you rather do sprints or run the mile? This should be the most obvious one. Never mind, very divided. On one hand, you have the mile, which after running, you feel like throwing up probably. And then you have sprints. If you do enough, you'll feel like throwing up. So I guess it's all up to the person and individual. Last one, would you rather, or actually, how many hats did you see? So this thing right here, and unfortunately, we weren't able to do this activity. As you probably have seen, Emily is not with us, the president of CAS. She couldn't make it, but we had an activity planned.
Jeff's got some great hats for you
More
guys.
hats,
So.
and I'll demonstrate one for you, to give you guys some entertainment, probably get your attention back. But essentially, you've seen one hat, so And I hope you enjoyed that. And that's all from us.
Yep. Thank you, guys.
Julie and Jeff, thank you for your presentation. We want to hear now from the Connecticut Association of National Honor Societies to get an update. And Maria from Goodwin Tech joins us. Maria?
Okay, hi. My name is Maria Caceres. I am president of the Connecticut Association of National Honor Societies. So I am a senior at E.C. Goodwin Technical High School in New Britain. I lead and facilitate meetings that connect our district together and all of our national honor societies. And basically we form opportunities to connect the district and opportunities for community service and helping the community in general. We create volunteering, we hold multiple meetings, we make a larger statewide meeting for all of the National Honor Societies and the members where everyone joins. And right now we are in the process of inducting our vice president, who is also a senior. So we are both going to be graduating this year, which leaves open the opportunity and the positions of vice president, president, secretary, and then the social media representative. So right now we kind of have nothing except for the vice president, who is just now coming in, and myself, who's the president. We are hoping to open the opportunity and gain interest from lower classmen, because right now the opportunity is only open to juniors and above. And we're hoping that in some schools, at least, we'll be able to open to sophomores and such. So with all things considered, we have held multiple advisor meetings to set up and plan for our statewide conference on April 21st. Along with this, we met up with school advisors to also get their opinions and see what they've been doing in their own National Honor Societies and how they've been holding up. And then we held the meeting to kind of give tips on how they can advise and how they can be leaders and how they can really help and set students up for success in their positions and what they are doing in their National Honor Society chapters. We've also planned and put in place a statewide initiative in which we donate to clothing and or food drives. And we also opened up the opportunity to make a video and a write-up which shows the process and everything that they've been doing to kind of get all of this working together, and as they've been sending it up. And this at the beginning of the statewide conference, they will receive a certificate and some sort of reward to the school and to their chapter, which kind of says thank you for, everyone gets a certificate. Some people win a larger award because, we do a voting. We see which was not more interesting, but kind of which one did more to help than others. And we have a lot to plan, but where we are now is kind of really good. I couldn't ask for a better group to work with, and thank you.
Maria, thank you for all the good work you're doing with the Connecticut Association of National Honor Societies and kind of detailing some of the opportunities that may be out there for some of your fellow student leaders. Thank you coming to us from E.C. Goodwin Tech in New Britain this morning. And also thank you to Julia and Jeff. And if you check in the chat, Julia did share the link to Pledge Your School for the state initiative with the Connecticut Association of Student Councils. So check that out in the link. We're going to take a break again, but this one is just going to be for 2 minutes. Then we'll be back with our second presenter. So we'll see you in 2 minutes. All right, welcome back, everyone. Our next featured speaker is Mrs. Kalinda Hunter with her presentation titled Diversity, Equity, Inclusion, and Mental Health. And sticking with our theme, yes, we have a flashback photo from Mrs. Hunter back to her Weaver High School days, Weaver in Hartford. And as you'll see here, yes, one of her many activities was cheerleading for Weaver. Years later, you could say she's also a cheerleader, ally, and advocate for students in her important work as a licensed clinical social worker. Look at that flashback. She has a master's degree in social work from the University of Connecticut, a bachelor's degree from North Carolina A&T State University, and she's not done yet. Currently pursuing her doctorate in social work, clinical practice, and leadership through the University of Tennessee. This is one accomplished woman. She currently serves as a school social worker and equity team leader at Craig Museum Academy Elementary School in Bloomfield. It is our honor to have Mrs. Kalinda Hunter with us this morning.
Thank you, John, for the wonderful introduction. I'm so excited to be here on today, especially being amongst all of you. I believe you all are Gen X. I'm sorry, Gen Z. I'm Gen X. You all are Gen Z. And I am very excited about the things that you all are doing in leadership. And I'm just going to share my screen with you. Have a little PowerPoint presentation, because I'm here to focus on diversity, equity, and mental health. And so it's so funny how all of those things kind of collide with one another, especially since, you know, you all are in the middle of a pandemic. It's your high school years. And, you know, when I think back to my high school years, there were a lot of things that I did that was fun, hanging out with friends, the proms, dances, the football games, the basketball games. I was a cheerleader, so I was at all the games. And so I do know that this has been a different experience for you all. Along with the pandemic, you also had the George Floyd death that was televised all over the world. And many of you jumped into action and became really racial justice warriors, which we appreciate. I once heard something said that the older people or the elder people are wise, but the younger people are strong. And so definitely you all jumped into action. So we're going to talk a little bit about that on today. We're going to make sure that you're taking care of yourself. If I can't say anything enough, it's self-care, self-care, self-care. So we're going to get into this PowerPoint. So who am I? I am a licensed clinical social worker. I'm a school social worker. I am a trainer. I do trainings for folks surrounding mental health and things of that nature. But I'm also a wife and I'm a mother of 2 high school daughters. So my youngest daughter attends Windsor High School. She's a freshman. And my oldest daughter attends Kingswood Oxford, and she's a senior. So I've had firsthand experience with what everything that's happened over the last 3 years, 2 years have been. And I actually got a little bit of, you know, prep talk from them about what I should say to high schoolers and what is it that you really need. So I really have to shout them out for helping me with this presentation on today. So we're going to talk a little bit about diversity, and I'm pretty sure many of you know about diversity. And diversity isn't just with racial things, it's also with diversity of thought, diversity of ideas, diversity of sexual orientation, freedom of religion. All of these things work into diversity. And the reason why diversity is so important is because we are a multicultural world. And so we can't have just one person sitting at the table making decisions for everyone. We need everyone at the table because everyone represents something or someone, and your voice is important. So the official definition of diversity is a state of being diverse or variety, or the practice of quality of including or involving people from a range of different social and ethnic backgrounds and of different genders and sexual orientations. So that's why it's important. And the thing about it is, if you were to do an identity map, and we use a lot of this in diversity and equity, is identity map is you put yourself in the center, and then off of it, you will have different things about who you are. And so even you being an individual is diverse. And we understand that not all places are receptive and open to all parts of who you are. And so it's imperative that you all continue to fight for diversity, fight that, you know, the places that you go to, athletics, your school boards, your organizations within your school, fight that there's diversity there, because you want to make sure that everyone's voice is heard. You want to make sure that everyone is feeling included and a part of it. And that's why I'm so passionate about this work. Like John mentioned, I did graduate from Weaver High School out of Hartford. And so there, you know, a lot of folks were making decisions for us that didn't look like us. And so it's imperative that we move and got into position so that we can start making change. And I know that this generation, what I love about this generation is that you all just don't want to make change, you want to be the change. And you also don't have a problem advocating for the person that's sitting next to you. So diversity is very important. And when we talk about equity, a lot of folks think that people need equality, but what we want is equity. And there is a difference between equality and equity. Looking at this visual right here, equality means that everybody gets the same thing. But if you notice, the fence, there's still the shorter person still can't see. The person in the middle is still kind of struggling to see. And then the tallest person is the one that gets to see everything. But when we talk about equity, equity means that we bring everybody to the same place, but giving them the tools and the strategy that they need to be there. So a lot of our work is around equity and not equality, because equality wouldn't make it any better, because we have run into so many issues, the LGBTQ movement, racial justice, women's rights. There are so many things that have not been equal. So now we have to move past equality and we have to move to equity, giving folks what they need so that they can succeed. And there was another picture which I wasn't able to capture on this, and it was liberation. And liberation was, there was no fence, there was no need for boxes, but everybody was living their own life at their fullest capacity of being. And I really have hope with you all, because I feel like many of you hold those ideals. Many of you believe that everyone should have access. And so I'm hoping that with this next generation that you all of leadership, I'm listening to the things that you're doing. I just heard what the young lady was sharing, the young man was sharing about the causes that you're really holding dear to your heart. I'm hoping that that continues, because you all are our future and we need you to keep pushing it forward. So when we talk about equality, it's the quality of being fair and impartial. You know, we want to make sure that, you know, that you're able to get what you need, you're able to be where you are, and that there's nothing hindering, there's no barriers. And it's the same for other folks. And that's why we need you all in this fight for equality and for diversity, because we need those voices at the table. So here are some of the things that, you know, when I was sitting talking to my daughters, they were sharing, like, this is kind of like a visual of what the last 2-3 years have been. And if you notice that I put in the middle of it, it was high school. So it's kind of crazy, because you all were wanting to live your best lives. You just want to be, you know, teenagers. You just wanted to, you know, get excited about high school. Because I know about, you know, when I was younger, I was excited about high school because you would see all the things that could happen for high schoolers, right? You could get to your license, there's proms, there's dances, there's more freedom. But a lot of your high school years were disrupted. And you all took on a lot of things that we as adults had a hard time coping with. You know, I put canceled there because there were so many things canceled. Your sports seasons were canceled. And I don't know about you, but for me in high school, that was the highlight of my day, as crazy as it sounds. So I was a 3-season athlete. So I was a cheerleader in the in the fall and the winter, and then I played softball in the spring. And that was my life, getting with my friends, having the football games, being at the basketball games. One of the biggest things for us back then was the turkey game, which was the game between Hartford High and Weaver, or even the Doc Hurley Classic. We used to have it at the Civic Center, or the Excel Center now. Those were big deals to us, because we would see the other kids going to that, or the high schoolers, and we just wanted to be there and be in the mix of it. But all the things that you all were looking forward to were all canceled because of a pandemic that no one saw coming. The other thing, freedom of religion. So we're dealing with xenophobia and all of these other things, disability rights, racial justice, a pandemic, COVID-19, protest. You all were out there protesting LGBTQ rights, plus rights. And then the end all be all, remote learning. And I don't know about you, but my daughters struggled with remote learning. They missed being around their friends. And we understood that education wasn't only about just learning what you needed to learn to get to the next level, but education was also about the socialization. And so remote learning was difficult. Some people thrived with it. Other people found it really difficult with remote learning. And you're all carrying this while trying to still keep up good grades, while still having the worries, especially if you're looking to your athletics to be a college opportunity for you, having your seasons delayed or denied. Having those prom, you know, or sweet 16s. My daughter didn't have her sweet 16 because we were in the middle of a pandemic. My other daughter didn't have her 13th birthday party, which we make a big deal about, because we're in the middle of the pandemic. And then we open back up and we say, everything is back to normal. Jump into it, get back into the grind, start getting those college applications, start prepping for the PSAT, start prepping for the SAT, all while all these things are swirling in your head and you're trying to make some normalcy of it. So the reason why I wanted to connect diversity, equity with mental health is because there are a lot of disparities when it comes to folks reaching to getting mental health services. And so we want to make sure that we are being very clear and transparent that it's okay to seek help and that we're doing everything on our end to advocate for it. Just because you're young doesn't mean that you don't go through things. And a lot of folks think because you're young people that you don't go through things, that, you know what, it's all good. You know, you have life to worry about. But I want to let you know that I understand and I'm listening. And I understand that, you know, the things that we may think as are minor as adults are very major to you. You know, the grief and loss behind not having a normal freshman year. If you were coming from middle school, the grief and loss of not having a normal senior year, or the grief and loss of having a modified sophomore and junior year, because there were still activities you were looking forward to. And so the reason why I want to once again connect diversity, equity, inclusion to the mental health is because these particular things, and there were more, because no one knows what you went through. There's grief. A lot of folks lost loved ones to COVID-19 and to other things. There's the grief and loss of jobs, and folks' incomes have changed. And so there was a lot of pressure put on you all to still perform. But we need to be cognizant of the fact that there was a lot going on for you too. And I hear you and I see you. So when we talk about mental health, a lot of folks get mental health and mental illness confused. And so mental health is a person's condition with regard to their psychological and emotional well-being. So when we think about mental health, it's not waiting till you get sick to take care of it. It's actually doing things to be proactive about it. So it's okay if you don't answer that text message immediately. It's okay if you need to take a break. One of the things that the state of Connecticut has done is that they've allowed for us, or allowed for students, to have at least 2 mental health days a year, which is really big. They recognize that mental health was a big concern for a lot of kids in school. And so they actually passed a law to say, you know what, they should be able to get 2 excused absences for them to take care of their mental health. And so I'm not trying to encourage you all to play hooky and to not go to school, but let's be transparent with yourself. You have a lot going on. And if you need to take that break, I would rather have you take a break than for you to check out completely. And so things that we want to do is to make sure our mental health is correct. We want to make sure our mental health is healthy. And like I said, even if you struggle with mental illness, it still is a responsibility to make sure that you're taking care of your mental health, even while taking care of your mental illness. And to know that there shouldn't be a stigma attached to it. We don't have a stigma attached to anyone that has a physical condition, so there shouldn't be a stigma attached to anything concerning mental health. I found this meme on Facebook. I know you probably don't do Facebook. You all are probably on Instagram or Snap. I'm learning all of the social media platforms. But one of the things that stuck out to me is that, you know, past trauma. So a lot of us carry some baggage, or we carry some history with us. And if you look at it, this is a representation of a heart, and the heart is carrying past trauma. And then bad news, pandemic, and stress. Some of the things that I just spoke about. And then there's a little birdie that sits on top of all of it. And there's a little step right here. And the heart breaks down. It's a minor inconvenience. And then the heart breaks down and starts crying. And when the heart breaks down and starts crying, then your head, this is the brain, is saying, I think you're overreacting. And you're not overreacting. I use an analogy that, you know, I can handle any crisis in the world, right? And I can have a day full of crises trying to help kids work through some difficult situations in their life. But then I get frustrated with the copier or the printer not working. And that's the thing that sends me over the edge. And it's not that it's the copier or the printer, it's just that the capacity to be able to handle everything sometimes gets a little heavy. And I want to let you know that it's okay if you say this is a little heavy, or I need a break, or I don't want you talking yourself out of getting yourself help because your brain is telling you you're overreacting when you're really not overreacting. There are a lot of adults who have experienced and have been through some things that are not able to even experience some of the daily life things because this pandemic has really thrown us for a loop. I have, like I said, I have 2 daughters. I have my oldest who's going through the college application process. And one of the things that she said to me was, because, you know, the world didn't stop moving. And so there's still tests that need to be taken. There's still applications that need to be done. There's still scholarship forms that need to be completed. And one of the things that she said to me that resonated with me was that everyone is acting like the world is normal. We just came out of something crazy and everybody just wants us to get back to business as usual. And I feel like I've missed so much because she went out on the pandemic. We went into distance learning when she was a sophomore in high school. We went out on distance learning when my daughter was in middle school. So many of you have not had the normal middle school, even high school experience. And we're saying, get over it. Let's go. Keep it moving. But I want to recognize and I want to let you know that I see that this is difficult and challenging times. And so it's okay. Tell your brain that I'm not overreacting. I need a minute. Let me get myself together. And when I get myself together, I'll dust myself off and I'll get back up and I'll try it again. You just want to make sure that you're also reaching out for help. Don't suffer in silence. Being a social justice warrior can be exhausting, especially if you're a part of a marginalized community. When you're dealing with microaggression or you're hearing about what possibly your rights could be taken away, and it becomes overwhelming. And it could be like, I'm scared about the future. And it's okay to have those feelings, but it's okay to talk to someone about them because they are really real and they're real to you. So one of the biggest things that I want to say to you is take care of yourself. We only think about self-care. We think about self-care as like for us as adults, going to the mall, getting your hair done, getting your nails done, going fishing, playing golf. We think those are self-care, but self-care is really about being intentional about what you let in your life and what you don't allow in your life, and being intentional about what takes your energy, what's worth your energy and what's not worth your energy. And so one of the things, and I know this is probably because when I told my daughters this, they gasped for air, but give yourself a break from social media. What we know about social media is that it has a lot of information that infiltrates your mind. So you're seeing a lot of the news, you're seeing a lot about what's going on with the pandemic, or you're watching other people's stories and you're seeing how they just looks like they're living their best life and you start to compare your life to theirs. Understand that a lot of times social media is just filters and people are only showing you what they want you to see. They're showing you the best parts of their lives, or they're showing you how they reach success, but they're not showing you the journey of how they got there. So don't compare yourself to that and give yourself a break. Take time to do something that you enjoy. Sometimes we turn things that we enjoy into things that become a chore. And so we want to make sure that we're doing things that we enjoy. So if that means that you like to veg out and binge on Netflix, take some time to do that. I know that sounds crazy with everything and deadlines there, but you need to take some time to do that. Making sure that you're not overscheduling yourself. It's awesome to have a great college resume or things to send to the colleges. That's awesome. But you also have to have balance, because after a while, you won't be able to keep up everything and you have to be good to yourself. So take some time to do something that you enjoy. One of the things that I used to do that people used to laugh at me about, which is now popular all of a sudden, is I used to like to color. So when I was in high school, I would like to get coloring books and I would color because it would help me like detox of the things that were going on around me and help me to like, just kind of be with myself and kind of get myself out of the world for a second just to be able to breathe. Video games are cool, but don't get sucked into the video games because sometimes you get sucked into those too. So take some time to get something you enjoy, whether that even be taking a walk, being conscious of the things around you, because you're only in high school once and you want to be able to enjoy as much as you have left the high school. And I'm going to finish up. So if you have any questions, please feel free to put them in the chat. If you have any suggestions that can help other folks out, I really wish this was in person because I love personal interaction with folks, but it is what it is. And we're going to make do with Zoom. But if you have questions, put those in the chat. If you feel like you need therapy, don't be ashamed. You have high school counselors and social workers in your building. Reach out to them. If you feel like you can't talk to your parent about it, then make sure that you get somebody on staff at your school who maybe can help you have that conversation. Sometimes parents don't think that their kids need therapy because they might feel like they're giving them everything that they need, but we don't know the daily struggles that you deal with. And so I want you to be open and honest about what you need. And if you need to see a therapist, please definitely don't feel like there's a stigma attached to this. And then also ask for help. If you feel like it's getting too heavy, if it's getting too dark for you, please ask for help. We want you here. You have so much to offer the world. And so we want to make sure that we keep those lines of communication open for you. Going back to being a social justice warrior, that work is exhausting. So it's okay to take care of yourself. Make sure you take a break from it. Because guess what? The fight is going to be there for a very long time. So if you dip out for a second to get a breather and come back in, just come back in ready to be well and healthy to be able to keep up with that fight. So I appreciate everything that you are doing. I am so proud of this generation. I can't wait to see what's in store. I'm happy to parent a part of this generation. And like I said, actually, I have one quote that I want to share before I end. And I've totally forgot about it, but it's a good one. And this is my favorite quote from Angela Davis. I am no longer accepting the things I cannot change. I am changing the things I cannot accept. And that's what you all are doing, this generation. You're not accepting the things that you can't change. You're saying, if I can't change it, then if I can't accept it, then I'm going to change it. And so I can't wait to see what you all are doing. Keep up the good work. I thank you all for having me. And if there are any questions, please feel free to let me know.
Thank you, Mrs. Hunter, for sharing that. It really is uplifting message and so important what you talk about trying to get past any stigma that students might be concerned about and addressing their mental health. And that's a powerful quote to finish on. And we do have some feedback from a young lady saying your smile has made her happy. So thank you for sharing that warmth and the important work you are doing. And so impressed with your resume, and good luck as you pursue that doctorate. And we're lucky to have you with us this morning.
Thank you for having me, and keep up the good work, everyone. I am so proud of you. And if no one told you that they're proud of you, I'm proud of you.
Awesome. Thank you. This is Kalinda Hunter with us, the former cheerleader who's grown into so much more beyond that, but continues to be a cheerleader and a counselor, an advocate and ally for kids here in Connecticut and beyond. One more break. We're going to make it just 2 minutes. We're running a little behind, and we're going to get back to Mr. Kendrick Moore in our student panel. So some of those faces we showed you at the start of the conference, they will join us to weigh in and have a nice discussion. You can continue to put your comments in the chat as well. And if you have any feedback on social media and want to tag us, at CIAC Sports on Facebook and Twitter, at CAS_CT for Connecticut Association of Schools, at CAS_CT on Twitter, and also on Facebook at ct.association.of.schools on Facebook. If you have a photo of your group gathered together or some feedback, please share it. So one more break and we'll be back with our student panel. All right, back here live, as they say, live here in our offices in Cheshire. We thank the schools and the students, hundreds of students in schools from across the state joining us for this high school leadership conference. And we have arrived at our student panel discussion, and you've heard a lot, of course, about leadership today. And it's one thing to be an individual leader, but there's a lot to be said for collaboration. Imagine when you can team up with other leaders, how powerful that can be. That leads us to our last high school photo trivia. And again, you can answer in the chat. Our winners before, best we can tell, Lime Old Lime and Bloomfield. Who is this duo from their high school photos collaborating to this day in a very powerful way? Let's see what we have in the chat. Nothing, not any correct answers so far. Looking for both Freddie Mercury and Rihanna. No, incorrect. Biden and Kamala. You have it. Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. We got to correct. If you can share your name there that just shared that correct answer. Yes, President Joe Biden and Vice President Kamala Harris. That is collaboration, as it is for anybody in these challenging times to be in a leadership position or a position in politics. We'll get that CIAC, CAS-CIAC apparel out to the person with the correct answer on that one. Might have been Josh Cooper, yes, from our who you're about to hear from our leadership panel. So Josh, well done, identify that. All right, we're going to head over to the student leadership panel, and when Mr. Moore wraps up, he's going to just offer some closing remarks. We'll have a chance to share some more questions as we move towards 11:30 and the wrap up of the conference. But thank you for your attention. You'll really want to pay attention here. Mr. Moore, it's all yours.
All right. One of our questions is going to be an extension of Kalinda, but we're going to start with another question as well. The panel has kind of already been given the heads up on the question, but we're going to go through it. Having the opportunity, we would love for some feedback from the audience as well following. But we got some questions that we're going to dive into and really get after it. In our panel, you know, it's time to get busy. We want some robust answers. Do what you do. So our first question, if you look back, again, we're talking about the three things that we discussed over the last 3 years of your life, based on the areas we covered today, which include valuing your time, goal setting, and neglect. Do you feel that you are where you believe you should be in your life? Anybody can just, yeah, go ahead.
I could get us started in terms of one of the three aspects, which was goal setting. And I would say that I feel that I am luckily where I should be, because I always want to do more. So something I've worked on through implementing goal setting is SMART goals, which I'd imagine a lot of you have heard of, and they're specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time-bound goals. And by establishing these goals, I feel like I have a clear action plan for how I can achieve goals, as opposed to just writing them down and doing nothing with them. I like to apply this saying at home that we always use, which is no lights, no camera, just action. And I think that goal setting combines great with ambition, and it comes in many forms for me. So one thing I've done to apply this idea of always striving for something better is on my school's math team. So I started off rarely getting any points. So I set the goal of maybe just getting 1 or 2 points at the start of my freshman year. And each time I reach the goal, I set a new goal to get even more points at the next competition, so that I don't just reach the goal and stop there. So currently now I'm up over at like 7, 8 points. And each time I hope to increase that. I also feel like I've accepted when I don't reach those goals. So sometimes I won't get as many points as I want to, but that doesn't stop me from setting a goal for the next competition and always looking forward. So I feel like really just having a clear action plan with the SMART acronym has allowed me to set goals and have a clear action plan for them.
That's beautiful. I appreciate the feedback. And one of the things you touched on, which I'm big on, which is kind of like indicators, right? So she started small, right? And that's one of the things I think when we go back to one of the comments that was made before in terms of the failure piece. Sometimes when we're setting goals right off the rip, we're trying to just go for the biggest goals without understanding the work that it takes. What she demonstrated is she actually started small, right? So she set her goal to, okay, I'm on this team, this math team, something new to me. Let me just work on getting 1 to 2 points. I'm sure her ambition was to get a lot more than that down the road, but she started small. So she can have a sense of accomplishment along the way, which will motivate her now. Okay, I'm able to get 1 to 2. Let me get to 4, 5, 6, 7. So I definitely appreciate that feedback. Anybody else want to chime in from the panel?
I can go. So I think that in the past 3 years of my life, I think that there's a lot of times that I've been able to set goals, but I think my problem with goal setting is not feel like when I don't reach the goal, I feel like I can't try again, and I feel like that shouldn't be like the thought process. So I feel like if I continue, like kind of based off what she said about setting time attainable goals, I'll be a lot more successful with those goals, because if I'm setting a goal for years from now, rather than setting a goal like from a few months from now, I feel like I'll be a lot better off doing that. I think that saying that in the last 3 years of my life, based on what we've covered today, I think that there's a lot of goals that I've missed opportunities from, but learning like what you guys had to say about goal setting, I feel now that in my future, if I continue to set these goals, I feel like I'll be better off, and I'll be able to, in the future, I'll be able to open doors that I did not even know existed for me in the past.
Amanda, honestly, that's some excellent feedback that I think I'm sure a ton of people and the audience are probably feeling that same way in terms of the goal setting, right? Like, man, I set this particular goal, I didn't reach it, and now I have this sense of failure. I think one of the things that goes missing, guys, with goal setting is providing the clarity for it as well. Like, really, how do I get there? It's almost like driving to a destination that you've never been to. Like, obviously before we used to print out papers with directions on it, MapQuest. Today we got a GPS. It's almost like trying to find somewhere. I know that's where I want to go, but I have no idea of how to get there. Right? So providing a sense of clarity and being able to be around people, Amanda, and those with that same question, who just know how to do it, who've been there before, who actually know how to get there, right? So it's because it's one thing to seek knowledge. It's another thing to seek specialized knowledge, right? So that's a big difference. And that's one of the lessons that I work on with our young people as well, like specialized knowledge, like understanding how do I actually get there? You've been there, you know how to get there, like teach me how to get to where I want to get to. And that will, I think, will decrease some of those moments of not attaining the certain goals along the way. But I definitely appreciate that feedback. Anybody else on the panel want to chime in at this time?
Yeah, I could if I could just say something real quick. I think if I had to talk about the goal setting piece of this question, I feel like I've reached the majority of the goals that I've set out like to achieve. I am a very competitive person and just in life. If I see something and I want to get it done and put my mind to it, I'm just gonna get it done. And in the past, I feel like talking over the last 3 years, I'm a junior right now. My freshman year, my goal was to play varsity, and I did. I played, I came off the bench, but I played varsity for basketball. I wanted to score a certain amount of points, and I didn't achieve that for that year, and I got a little frustrated. Because I'm so competitive, I was just like, okay, what steps can I take to achieve that for next year? So I feel like my freshman year, based on just off the last 3 years, my freshman year, I got a little discouraged, and kind of was just like, I'm a failure. Kind of like, to reiterate what Amanda said, I got low in my head a little bit. But I think, my sophomore year, I came back and I achieved the goal that I want to average a certain amount of points, and I averaged more than that. So, I achieved that goal. But again, that was just sophomore year. So I'm trying to keep up that mindset of, if I want to go get something, like, go do it. One quote that's kind of like that I really hold dear is like, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. So if you like never put yourself out there to like set a goal, or to like, if you want to just achieve something in life, if you never have the confidence to put yourself out there, you never know if you could have achieved it. So that's one thing that I just really hold dear to me, and just that quote just means a lot, because it's not just in basketball, it's not just in soccer, it could be in anything. It could be in coaching. So it's just, I just wanted to say that. So thank you.
I definitely appreciate the feedback. That's for sure. Like, traveling along that journey and being able to understand what that looks like and attaining the goals, going through that process, it's a beautiful thing. And I'm sure it's gotten you, even those small failures that you considered failures, has gotten to where you got to today. We have a couple more people on the panel. Would you guys want to chime in on this first question?
Yeah, I'll like to say something. Or you want to go first? Or
it doesn't matter, you.
So I think like in the past looking back in the past 3 years, I'm gonna touch more on like the valuing time piece. So I feel like I feel like I feel like I am where I should be in my life, but I didn't value time as much as I could have in the past 3 years. Like with COVID and stuff and like setbacks like that, I really used my time wisely, kind of made some excuses. But now I'm trying to like value time more and really cherish the time I have and use the time to really reach my goals, and not really just like let minor setbacks really affect my life, but really to keep going and like find different ways to go around it to like really achieve all the goals I've set for myself.
So for me, when I start setting goals, I usually start off with what I think you talked about it a little earlier about Amanda. So for me, I always start off with the main goal. So like last semester or last quarter, I said I wanted to make honor roll, but then I started off making like micro goals. So like, for example, like something like this Friday or next Monday, what will I do to start getting to my goal? Or if any of you have been to Powder Ridge, we use this thing called terrain-based learning. Our main goal is to go down the perfect slope, but in order to get there, you have to go over different obstacles, like this thing called the rollers, where we have to learn how to go down different terrain, or we go down our bank slopes to start learning how to turn. So based on like the past 3 years of what I've been doing, like with my goals that I've been setting, I feel like I am a little behind, but at least I know that. So then I can start catching up, and so then I can start getting where I need to be by next year for my senior year.
That's great info, because one of the things we know, and I think we got students of different classes here, and I think you've probably heard me speak on it, is, whether you're 2022, 23, 24, 25, like it's coming. Like regardless of what's going on, 22 is 5 months away. Like those class of 22, 23, 20, like it's coming regardless. Like, so if you haven't implemented these things right now, I advise you do it immediately. Like implement the strategies in your life to get to where you need to be. One of the worst things that can happen as the designer of your own life is that you get to that graduating point. And this is just me. I understand our environments are different. Our struggles look a little bit different. There's a lot of victories to be won each and every day. I get that, so I'm not taking away from that. But graduation, it's this systemic thing put into place. It's not that difficult to graduate from high school, right? It's not that difficult as long as you follow this, this plan that's put together already. Like you might take an extra year or whatever, but graduate. I don't want you just leaving high school with that as the only thing accomplished on your resume. Even if you're a first-time graduate of high school, in terms of family, like, right, I'm the first person in my family to get to this particular milestone. I can get that. I understand that. But let's not make that the only thing that we've accomplished when I walk across that stage. Be that person with multiple honor cords going across the stage. Like, I want you to be that student with multiple offers from big time colleges going across that stage. Like, so some of you that, okay, I've kind of reached my goal, like set the bar a little bit higher. If you notice that you're reaching certain goals pretty regularly, like I always challenge my students, like, yo, step it up, like raise the bar a little bit higher. The goals that you're setting, they're a little bit low for you. For you, that's a little bit low because we don't really understand that we got more inside of us to get to where we want to get to. So we're just comfortable. If our environment is saying like, this is the status quo, this is successful, but we don't even know we got more in us, we're just going to be comfortable, doing what the society around us or environment around us tells us. All right, so if we got that, listen, raise the bar, trust me, go after it. It's going to be way more rewarding with the little things that you might not accomplish along the way than if you just lower the bar and just go about it and say, oh, I graduated after 23, 24. All right, so let's make sure we keep that in mind and lock in on that message, as we move forward. All right, guys, so we're going to go on to the next slide. This is kind of following, what Kalinda had mentioned in her presentation. How does mental health impact the areas in personal development that we discussed? Value and time, goal setting, and neglect. You see some of the examples at the bottom. Do you set less task-related goals due to anxiety? Does social anxiety impact what you do with your time? Does depression cause you to neglect simple tasks? It could be your own your own answer to that particular question. But I want to hear from you in terms of that, because, and again, not just me, I'm sure the audience would love to hear from you in that perspective as well.
I would say that mental health and valuing time have definitely gone hand in hand for me, especially because, sorry, there's an announcement.
It's all right.
Sorry about that. That was a long announcement because we have a shortened day today. But as I was saying, I would say mental health and valuing time go hand in hand because of social media. And I feel like with Instagram, we all put on like some front and only show good parts of our life. And that's where a lot of time gets wasted. So on the screen time app that I have on my phone, sometimes I'm like, wow, I did not realize I just spent this many hours scrolling on Instagram, looking at other people's lives. And oh, like, why aren't I doing this thing that someone else is doing? But in reality, I feel like it's so easy to lose the idea that people are only posting the good parts because who's going to post what they're struggling with to their Instagram story when they could post the vacation they were just on last summer. So I would say that it's very easy to lose track of time when your mental health is so focused on how you could be more like others.
Definitely. Definitely. Anybody else want to follow up?
I think if I could follow up, I think I'd like to reiterate what Dwight said when we talked about the first question about how COVID kind of gave us an excuse right off the bat with the pandemic, with the remote learning. I feel like mental health and goal setting go hand in hand, because if your mental health isn't, and if you wake up in a mood where you're just like, I'm not sure if I'm achieving any goals today, then you're already in the mindset to not even look at your to-do list, because you're just like, I'm already so caught up in my head that my mental health is just not where it should be and where I think it should be in order to achieve those goals. So I think those two go hand in hand, because, when you're in a great mood, you're looking to achieve goals, you're hungry. But, when your mental health isn't there and you maybe had a rough conversation with a family member, maybe had, a tough game the night before, or, whatever it was that just kind of puts you in a little bit of a funk, your mental health, it's just going to throw you off. So you're not going to be looking to attack those goals head on. You may look for shortcuts in it. And that's where, those excuses may come in. Like, I didn't really get that much sleep last night. Maybe I could put that goal off. Maybe I could, lower the expectation for that goal. And that's not achieving the goal the way. That's finding the shortcut. That's finding the easy way out. So I think those two go hand in hand.
Thanks, Isaiah. That's great feedback. Like I said, I'm sure a lot of people at this conference right now, students, adults, we dealt with that big time over the past couple of years and just our day to day, right? And then I think this is why our personal development, this is why it's so important to try to stay in the right spaces, right, mentally. As Jasmine said, like it's easy to go off and just, be on social media for hours, being enamored by the false lives of those that are posting certain things up there, right? And thinking we got to be that person, like, all right, we are really in a certain way mentally, feeling a certain way mentally, but, that just adds to it. So I definitely appreciate those messages by both of you guys. Anybody else want to chime in?
Yeah, I would like to piggyback off what Isaiah said. I believe that, like, if the mental health and goal setting, they go hand in hand, because if your mental health isn't right, that's going to affect your mindset. And if you don't have a good mindset, you're not really going to go after your goals, or like you're not going to be motivated to really do what you want to do. That's why recently I've been trying to get into like meditation and manifesting. It's like I could meditate to keep my mindset correct, like make sure I'm focused on what I want to do and what I'm going after for, so I could like shut out all other distractions and make sure I'm staying on task, like, and to manifest, to like really speak my goals into existence and like just put it in my head from now that I'm going to do that and I'm going to achieve that, so I could really go out and do it and have the right mindset.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Anyone else want to chime in?
Going off of like what Isaiah was saying about like getting it, whether it was a conversation you had with a family member or something, kind of relating to like, I'm in basketball season right now, and I know like mentally, if you have a negative mentality of like, say, for example, in a basketball game, if I got in an argument with my mom or dad prior to it, I'm already like have a negative outlook. And now that could, I mean, for me personally, it really does affect my playing with like mental health from a sports aspect. And like, I know if you look at things in a negative way, like whether that's like you miss a goal or you miss a shot, and the next time down that court or field, that negative impact is going to carry on and you're going to keep missing because you're not looking at things in a positive way and looking to turn things around and having that goal of like, next time I'll make it. So I know that's just kind of like something for me to piggyback off of what Isaiah said about like having a prior negative conversation before a game. Really can like mentally impact all areas of personal development.
Right, definitely, for sure, for sure. My last student, you want to chime in?
Actually, yeah. So, what I've noticed with like the mental health aspect with development with COVID, just in with my family, I've noticed like with COVID, it actually has helped a little bit with like if you're super close to get closer with your family, but it also has pushed me away personally from people that I used to talk to all the time. So with that, it sort of has affected with my mental health, and I know for and other people as well. Um, Especially when I was just starting off high school, when we're starting to figure out who we are as a person. Even in middle school, we're still trying to figure out who we are. And with that being such like in the beginning of my start of my adulthood, kind of, it really does affect it. It affected with my goal setting, and now I'm just getting back into it, starting to get better at with my goals. With time, I started figuring out how precious that is now, because we're only here for a certain amount of time, and then you're try to use that time for the best of your ability to impact the next generation as well.
Thank you, Josh, and everyone on the panel. I definitely appreciate that. I mean, because this is a tough conversation for many when you talk about mental health. I think it's one thing to give it from an outside perspective and what you think, but I think a person who deals with the mental health issue, it's a little more difficult to speak on. I love what I do because each day I get an opportunity again to learn and be around young people. And as a coach, as I mentioned, even in the first segment during the keynote, one of my players, and she don't mind me mentioning, is I done brought her on different platforms. We actually did presentations together. She suffered from anxiety and social anxiety like no other in high school. And obviously, one of the things she still deals with it while she's in college. She's the young lady who plays at UMass Lowell right now, plays basketball for UMass Lowell. But one of the things we started working on, even while she was in high school, we gained this connection, got to know a little bit more outside of the basketball piece, was positive affirmations each morning, right? We understand what's on the surface, right? We think we're confident, the surface of our brains, we think we're confident. The subconscious holds on to everything. Everything, your fears, your worries, your doubts, it's in there. So you may walk somewhere and appear like you're confident. The subconscious part of you is there and ready to go to work. You have to continuously work on that part. And I learned a lot from this young lady and being around her, literally. Amanda, you talked about playing basketball. She would miss a shot in a game. Her reaction would be almost like she missed 70 shots in a row. And she just missed one shot. So I had to figure that out a lot, like, wow, like, why is she, but then getting to know her, I kind of figured it out, like, this is what we're going to do to try to combat that. It doesn't mean eliminate it, but we need to work on that so your response is a little bit different. You understand is, you know, what's going on within yourself. So it's a continuous thing, right? Listening to positive affirmations in the morning. That was the first thing we started working on. Like each and every morning, as I told you about neglecting little things early. And I can tell, or I could tell at certain times, you know, you get bored with certain things like, man, she's not really, okay, listen, you need to get back on that. Because you can kind of see the differences with how she moved every day, how she walked, how she carried herself. If she come in the room, if she says, you know, if she feel like talking and actually speak, like you can tell like the certain mood she was in based on that regimen. And then, like I said, it started in the morning with just continuously building those positive affirmations. And again, it wasn't one day. It wasn't going to like one day she did it and it's, oh my God, a miracle happened. I'm better. Nope. Over time, I'm great. I'm beautiful. I know how to handle my, you know, all of those things. I show gratitude. I'm nice to people, like all of the positive things that you do every day. Like I said, because we all go through struggles, but we all have numerous victories that we got to make sure we lock in on. Before we move forward to the conclusion, John, has there been any input in the chat in terms of questions in regards to this section for the panel?
Nothing yet, but we do invite those comments in the chat, and I can share those with you as we head toward the closing. Anybody has any thoughts on what they've heard from Mr. Moore or our student leaders, please put them in the chat and we can share them.
Okay. So what I'll do, John, I'll just go right on to the conclusion. I know we're about to wrap up. And then, like I said, as the questions come in, we can, even for myself or for the panel, we'll filter them out. And we'll give as much feedback as we can as we start to wrap the program up. All right, guys. And so preparing for promotion, man, listen, this is something big to me. It's special to me. It's a part of who I am. As I mentioned to you guys earlier, like I know what my life is. My life has always been dedicated to young people. Like I know that for a fact. Like it's no questions about it. You want to challenge me, contact me, ask, I'm going to get back to you. You need assistance. Like I'm the one I'm going to be there for you. Like I know what I'm about and I'm about your development. I want to see you do well. Like I'm about the growth mindset. I'm about challenging you outside of the box. Like I'm like coach, I use that title means a lot to me. Like digging deep inside and getting the most out of you. Right? Like that's my hope for you. Like I want to see you all have a high level of success and not just settle, because as people, like that's an easy thing. And sometimes we're not even aware of it. Like, right, did I settle or is this the best I can give? Like, and I'm the one, I'm going to push you to make sure that at the end of the day, you know, I didn't just settle today. Right? So that's what that promotion piece is about, really getting to the next level. Here's the question, well, here's the statement actually that we're going to end on today, right? As simple as that may seem, this is a powerful statement, right? The day you make the decision, the day you actually make the decision to get better is going to be more impactful and meaningful, or just as impactful and meaningful than the day you actually achieve the goal. Some of you might think like, oh yes, I'm on the right. No, that's not what I'm talking about. I said the day you really make the decision, because it won't be a temporary thing. It won't be something where I stop using social media for a week. I went on a week diet from social media. It won't be, okay, I stopped eating cookies for a month. That's not the day you made it. That's not it. You know, then you're back to eating cookies. That's not it. But I want to be healthy. I want to be as strong as the next. That's not it. The day you make the decision, guys, is an important step in this journey. Like I'm hoping, like I said, commit to this, commit to the message, like give it a shot. Aren't you tired of wasting time? Aren't you tired of having the same old personal conversations with yourself about what you're going to do? Like at some point, you got to get tired of it. Like aren't you tired of reverting back to doing what the status quo, doing what you've always done, and it's gotten you nowhere than where you are right now? And it doesn't mean you're not successful, but there's so much more for you. Like, make the decision to be great and go after it. Stop being afraid of success. Stop settling for less than what you are. At the end of the day, if you are living that, I'm telling, it's gonna be a harsh reality when you get into the real world. The day you make the decision, guys, like I really want you to lock into that. Like, and I know the percentages, like, yeah, I get it. You know, you got 500 plus people on a call. You might get a couple hundred of them to kind of think about it. You might get 100 of them to really lock into the message. You might get 50 or 60 of them to kind of say, okay, I'm definitely going to try this. Like, this is just me. Like, you listening to me, like, man, listen, I'm going for all of you. Like, I want all of you to lock in and make sure you take something from today. Like, I want you all to lock in. I'm talking about from John to myself. Like, when I'm talking here, like I told you before, I'm talking to myself. I need to take something from this message today. If I'm going to expect you to do something, if I'm not going to do it. Amanda, I can't expect you to go after it, and I don't. Like, I want you to be great. Josh, the same thing. Isaiah said same thing. Like, I need more from you. And everybody else in the audience, like, that's just how it is. I want you to make the decision today. Because here's the deal. This is the crazy part. When you make the decision, you don't have to tell anybody that you made a certain decision in your life. People are going to be able to tell by the way you talk to them. The way you walk down the hallway when you leave this meeting, if you made a certain decision, people that saw you one way yesterday are going to look at you like, what happened to that guy? Like, that's how powerful it is. It's not just something on a piece of paper. It's the way you make the decision you make, like the day you make that decision. That's how powerful it is. You don't have to tell anybody. They can tell by they can tell by the way you look at them when you shake their hand. And that's what I want for all of you. Like, I want greatness. And here's the deal. There's enough of it out here for everybody on this call right now. Without getting in each and every other person's way, there's enough of greatness and success out here for everybody on this call to have a high level of success, student and adult. So my thing is, stop wasting time. Let's get after it. Like, let's make the decision today to be great. Make that decision to value your time, like literally put a value on your time. Charge people for your time. See how many people want to hang out with you. If you say, hey, if you want to hang out with me today, it's going to cost you $100 an hour. You want to hang out with me, let's charge them for your time. Let them know how valuable your time is. Stop wasting time. And when you set in these goals, set robust goals, like big goals, bigger than what you can ever even imagine, and go after it. And stop neglecting the little things. They build up. You think they don't matter today. Like, you think those positive affirmations in the morning, get up a half hour early, listen to the positive affirmations in the morning. I guarantee you, you'll be in a better space when you talk to the first person you talk to in the morning. So stop settling and let's get after it. Like, that's what this is about. Like, I'm passionate about what I do because I care. Like I said, challenge me. I care about what I do. I can't help it. I care about what I do. And I want you guys to be great. If I ever get a chance to encounter you, I want to be like, oh, that's that guy right there. Look at what he's doing. That's what I want for you. When I see you walking around, I would be like, oh, he's been doing something right, or she's been doing what she's supposed to be doing without even getting a chance to meet you. But you gotta make the decision. Like I said, that day, I'm telling you, you're gonna feel it. Here's the deal, you're either gonna feel it at the time, or when you get to your goal, you're going to be able to recall it and say, I remember that day that I made the decision to do whatever it is you want to accomplish. You're going to remember it just like the day you set that goal and that you accomplished that goal. You're going to remember that day. I was sitting in the library and man, I decided I'm going to do this. You're going to remember it. So guys, let's make sure we make that decision, like commit to what we talked about today, those 3 areas of focus: time and value, goal setting, neglect, and let's get it done, right? It's time to stop wasting time, right? Let's make sure we get it done. Like we got so much more out there that we can accomplish, and I want it all for you. I want it all for you. All right. I appreciate your time. I'm looking for some questions, John. If anybody put anything else in the chat that we could talk about, like I said, for myself or for the panel, but I'm excited about it. Isaiah, you have a question?
Let me get off mute here. Mr. Moore, thank you. And you know, the beauty of your story is you were a guy that established your name in Greater Hartford and across Connecticut, and you went on to get yourself educated in college and play ball, and you've come back to share your experience, and you're such a valuable asset to kids in Connecticut. What is the best way for students if they want to reach out to you personally, share something, get some advice? Is there a best way to contact you? I think you're muted also, Kendrick.
So the contact information, like if you can go on my website, that's fine. Once you click on the link to the website, there are multiple tabs that say let's work together. Obviously through the Instagram account. Again, this is the beauty of it, John. Like I said, I love doing what I do to see oh my God. Like when you go to the website, it's a young lady that's a junior in high school that I was just telling you about that's trying to get to validate. Like she created the website in like a couple weeks. Like she said, you need to do this, Mr. Moore. Like I need you to do it because I'm always talking to her about investing and spending time and being valuable with the time. You need to do this, Mr. Moore. Yep, I'm gonna get this done for you. Like in a couple weeks. Like that's why I love doing what I do and working with youth, because at a certain point you start to impact the lives of youth. They feel it and they respect it. So when you go on there, like you'll get a chance to kind of see like what she's done, but also, like I said, let's work together. You can contact me through any one of the mediums on there, or like I said, directly through the Instagram account.
That's awesome. And the power of the title coach, man, you wear that every day, and that's such an impact that our coaches and teachers across the state, because a coach is a teacher, and you continue to live that. So thank you so much, Mr. Moore.
No problem.
I appreciate it.
Were there any other comments or questions?
Just seeing some thanks to you from coming from Danbury High School and some others. So much appreciated for your time. And I know students will be able to reach out if something comes up.
All right. Beautiful.
Thank you so much. We thank Mr. Kendrick Moore and Mrs. Glinda Hunter, our presenters today, our student leaders as well, and our panelists that were able to join us and talk, and our student leaders from Student Council and Honor Society, National Honor Society. So nice to have everybody with us this morning, and we look forward to having you with us at future leadership events. And if we can get back in person, all the better. Just some thank yous here from our Cheshire office before we wrap up. My co-pilot across the way, Erin Garino, doing a great job today. We appreciate her so much. Sharice Miller-Odukwe, Henry Rondon, Christy Kaminsky, Kathy Prow, who has done a lot of the legwork to make this happen behind the scenes, keeping people updated with the status of the conference and the invitations and the registration. Kathy, thank you so much. And you'll be getting a feedback form too to offer us some feedback on how we can improve things going forward. And 2 last thank yous, Dr. Bill Silva, and of course, Dr. Rosie Wojtek for her work here in the office on the CAS side. We thank the Connecticut Army National Guard, the Connecticut Department of Public Health, the Connecticut Department of Transportation, Buffalo Wild Wings, Jostens, Horace Mann, Spring Path, and the College Funding Coach for their continuing partnerships and sponsorship support. I hope you got a lot out of today, a lot to think about. We appreciate your time. Enjoy your weekend, and we hope to see you again. Thank you so much.